Hello everyone, this is Donnie, aka Elevated with Dota Alchemy. Thank you so much for tuning in again today. And before I get into today's video, I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a lot of new content that is on dotaalchemy.com. So if you haven't checked it out already, feel free to follow the link in the description below and you can go check out some of our free content. And if you like the free stuff, the rest of the content on dotaalchemy.com is only $3.99. And Jenkins and I have been really hard at work pumping out the best possible material that we think can apply to everybody. We've taken a little bit of a different approach with Dota Alchemy than say Pugna or Game Leap, where we are focusing kind of more on like teaching everybody how to think about Dota and how to learn about Dota to get better. And we of course would love your feedback on our content. We are more than happy to make stuff by request if people are really asking for a certain particular hero or concept. We absolutely love having that sort of request because it helps us figure out what you guys want to see from us. And I also just wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody who is supporting us here on YouTube. We are nearing 15,000 subscribers, which is just insane considering that we started this channel, just over 2.5 months ago. And we cannot thank you enough for the support. We have been really just enjoying this journey and we hope that you guys are enjoying the content. All right, so let's hop into the video, and today's video is going to be an extra fun one for me because it's a lot of personal experience that I get to talk to you guys about, and I think that it has the chance to bring a lot of value to most Dota players out there. So we are going to talk about why you should grind exclusively support and why this will make you gain a ton of MMR in a very short period of time. So I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that I must be crazy. Everybody says that you need to play core to gain MMR. And let me just paraphrase my experience over the last 2 months with this method. So basically, when the ranked role queue came out, I was very excited about it because it allowed me to, get to play carry or offlane or support depending on what my mood was. And I really liked that aspect, and especially being able to skip the really annoying fighting with your team to get the role or hero that you want to play. I was very fed up with having even a small percentage of my games end at the drafting screen because my team was so upset at each other and not cooperating that people were feeding down mid, or people just weren't trying, or it was making me apathetic towards the game because I just didn't really want to support a bunch of people who are just being complete assholes. But the thing is, if you have played ranked role queue, you know that queuing as a carry or a mid, specifically those two roles, can take a long time. Sometimes you're queuing for 30 or 40 minutes just to get a game because there's so much demand for that role and not as much for offlane and support. And so being somebody who's fairly busy during the day, I have a finite amount of time to play Dota, and I simply couldn't waste 30 or 40 minutes queuing for a game. And while I would do some work and stuff during the queues, it's just not really a good way to approach the game because I'm always, waiting for the queue to pop and I'm not really focusing on what I'm doing, and I don't want to get really involved in, say, editing a video because I like to kind of get into the zone and just edit for a number of hours at a time. That's just how I work better. So I couldn't really justify queuing for carry because it just was taking too much time to get games in. And, I'm teaching you guys my methods for getting better at the game of Dota, and so I need to continue to play and get better myself. Otherwise, I'm just going to become stagnant and my information is going to become stagnant as well. And so I have to get a specific number of games in every day. Otherwise, I feel like I don't have the justification to teach other people how to play the game better. So that basically left me with two options. One, I could play regular ranked queue, which I just didn't find enjoyable after playing ranked roles for a long time because of that fighting over roles. And then the other option was just to play support and queue for support in ranked roles every single time because those queues are very short and you'll get games very regularly. So that's what I did. I said, I'm just going to play ranked roles support. And I obviously don't want to just play the game to lose. I don't want to play the game to lose MMR. I'm trying to climb. I'm trying to get my rank up. I'm trying to get better at the game. And so once I made that decision to play support, it basically means that I need to learn how to impact and win games as a support. And so over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I played just support, and I started out losing a bit more than I would have liked. And in the past, I've kind of felt like I don't have as much impact as a support. Like I want to, but I've allowed myself to kind of be a victim of circumstance of depending on whether my team is good enough to end the game or not. But I realized that that doesn't allow me to enjoy the game. If I am allowing my teammates to have the impact on me, whether I have a good time or not, then I am never going to enjoy the game. So I needed to figure out a way for me to have control as a support. And so after some experimentation and some frustration of not having enough control, I kind of figured out what I needed to enjoy the game and never feel like I was a victim of my team. And for me, that was to pick heroes that could scale well, that had the ability to quickly push lanes and the ability to take buildings. Because one thing that everybody has experienced in a pub is that you can fight as much as you want because everybody wants to fight. But when it comes to actually closing the game out, taking objectives, bringing down towers in the Ancient, there is a lot of struggle in coordinating 5 people on your team to do that. And so I started picking heroes like Jakiro and Pugna and Winter Wyvern and building things like Meteor Hammer and Solar Crest on heroes that might not traditionally buy those items, just so that I could push towers and push waves and take Roshan. And my approach every single game was that I would start out supporting, and I would do my job as a support in lane, and I would harass and pull and stack and ward and gank if they needed it, and then I would kind of take a read on how the game was going every minute or two. And if I thought the game was going well, then I would just continue to ward, and I would be a little bit more sacrificial and just focus on being a true support. But if the game was clearly not going in our favor, I would immediately start transitioning into a split pushing semi-core and do my best to create as much pressure on the map as possible for the other team to respond to. The other team is not really going to be able to gank your severely underfarmed carry if their towers are being pushed down by a single hero. Most of the time when you are behind, your team will be playing extra scared. They will not take advantage of seeing 2 or 3 enemy heroes on one side of the map and then going and farming the other side. Most of the time they'll kind of stick to the jungle. They'll play very safe. They won't extend out past the river. And so this creates a very interesting opportunity for you as a support player with the ability to push waves. You're a much less valuable target for the other team, and they will often allow you to get away with pushing waves quite far out from your base without responding because they are busy trying to control the cores on your team. And so you are able to extend out past the river, you're able to single-handedly pressure towers, and when the other team does respond to this pressure, they often will just bring 1 or 2 heroes thinking that, oh, it's just a support. We don't need to rotate our whole team to kill them because we still need to be looking for the carry or the mid player. And this basically just means that you don't get punished for your aggressive positioning and play nearly as badly as if you were a core hero. And you get to use all of this newfound farm to very comfortably provide your team with all of the wards they would ever need, all of the detection they would ever need, and you often have enough left over for plenty of value items that you would otherwise never have access to as a support. And when you're a support with core level farm, you suddenly feel like you can do a lot more in this game. I've had so many games where I'm playing something like a Jakiro or a Pugna, and I go from bottom 2 net worth for the first 15 minutes of a game to suddenly having items like a Hex or a Blink Dagger or an Aeon Disc, or the ability to buy very team-oriented items like a Pipe or Crimson Guard just because we don't have one yet and we need one. And this is what I began to realize about playing support in solo queue. And this is, I think, why most people really don't like playing the role, because we pattern ourselves after those professional games where everybody has a role and the farm is distributed exactly how it needs to be to get certain power spikes on core heroes to be able to steamroll games. But in solo queue, there are a lot of mistakes being made. The games regularly draw out much longer than they should, and if you just spend all of your time sacrificing yourself for your team, you are essentially putting the ball in their hands. And if you believe that you are a better player than your MMR and you believe that you can climb, you need to start pulling more weight. It doesn't matter if you have 4 terrible teammates. If you're pulling 99% of the weight, you can actually carry these 4 teammates, because all they have to do is muster up that 1% that you need to be able to win the game. And what I've found is that you can do this as a support. You just have to change what you are doing in the game depending on the scenario presented in front of you. You can't always just be the guy that saves your carry and dies for the team. If you're playing against a Slark who's snowballing with a Shadow Blade, spend all of your money on Sentry and Observer Ward combos, but then shove out the lane as far as you possibly can. You'll make that money back so you can continue buying Sentry and Observer Wards, and if they do end up going on you, suddenly you've given your team a ton of information about where this snowballing Slark is, and you allow them to have the rest of the map as space. And possibly the most beneficial side effect of only playing support is that it teaches you to do a lot with less. And this skill translates to all of the other roles perfectly. How many times have you been sacrificed in lane as a carry or an offlaner, or you got dumpstered mid by somebody better than you or with a better hero matchup? A lot of people just give up in these kinds of games. But if you're used to that scenario, if you're used to feeling like you have to do a lot with very little resources, then these types of games go from being completely over and giving up to just another challenge with a different set of rules. There's no doubt about it. You will become very frustrated at times if you are only playing support and your teammates are always having to be carried by your supporting. But if you approach it with the right mindset and you take breaks when you're very frustrated or you're feeling like you need to start blaming your team to justify your losses, then you will eventually hit that point where all games become your responsibility to win. And regardless of what role you play after that point, this switch in your mindset will gain you a ton of MMR in the long run. And perhaps most important of all, if your team is fighting over roles during the picking screen, you will not feel afraid to just support them, because you already know that you can impact and win games as a support. So if you don't get your preferred role and you end up having to support, you're not going to come into the game with that negative feeling or apathy or preconceived notion that the game is already over because you've been forced out of your comfortable role. Because at this point, you've figured out that you can have impact as a support, that you can win the game for your team as a support. So all roles are now your comfort zone. So basically, put yourself in what you would consider the most uncomfortable situation and then overcome that. And I know that you'll be able to overcome that because you're not just going to stop playing Dota because it's hard. You're going to try harder. You're going to try and solve the problem. And when you get good at solving hard problems, they become easier. And everything else becomes easier as well. So that's it, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspires you to go out and try something that is outside of your comfort zone and that you gain the benefit of pushing yourself to your limits. I personally gained about 500 MMR and 3 ranks over the last week or so, and even the higher rated games that I'm in now are not scaring me with their difficulty. Good luck, have fun, and go win that MMR.